When the rebel army stormed the city, my husband abandoned me, rushing off in a panic to find his legal elder sister. She is alone. Once I rescue her, I will live a good life with you from now on. I believed him. I served my parents-in-law and waited bitterly for 10 years. Yet not a single word came from him, until the day I walked into the city to sell tofu in a patched cotton robe, and the general's triumphant procession passed by me in all its grandeur. Only then did I learn he had long become the ever-victorious general praised by the people, and his legal elder sister was his bright and beautiful general's wife. Even my parents-in-law, dressed in magnificent silks, followed behind her, their faces glowing with joy. My son has brought glory to our family. Only you are worthy of him. If it weren't for your letters all these years telling us we still had to live off her earnings, I would have divorced her long ago on my own accord. I rushed into the procession like a madwoman, demanding an explanation, but I was beaten bloody on the charge of causing a disturbance, and died a miserable death in a shabby alley. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day the rebels attacked the city, the day he was leaving to save his legal elder sister. The agonies of my past life were vivid in my mind. Hatred blazed in my eyes as I wrote a letter of divorce. Seeing my unwavering resolve, Xiao Yufeng, who had been eager to gallop away, paled drastically. His hand froze, then he yanked the horse's reins hard. "What did you say?" The fiery steed neighed, forced to a halt. Xiao Yufeng stared down at me, confusion in his eyes. Perhaps he could not fathom why his once gentle wife was acting so out of the ordinary, but I met his gaze head-on, every word sharp and clear. I said, "Either you stay and protect your wife and parents, or press your fingerprint on this divorce letter. From now on, our paths shall diverge. And you may go wherever you please." I held out the divorce letter. Xiao Yufeng snatched it up and scanned it, the veins on the back of his hand throbbing slightly, his voice laced with disbelief. "You are so consumed by jealousy that you must throw a tantrum at such a critical moment. She is your own elder sister." I let out a cold laugh. My own elder sister, the one who bullied me since childhood, stole my things, and finally stole my husband. A flicker of guilt crossed Xiao Yufeng's eyes. His gaze drifted toward the city gate, filled only with urgency and worry for his legal elder sister. Common people fled the city one after another, and shouts echoed in the distance. "Run, the rebels are in the city. If we don't escape now, we'll meet a terrible end." My voice was cold as ice. "Press your fingerprint quickly, and I will tell you where your legal elder sister is hiding. Otherwise, if the rebels find her before you do, I cannot guarantee she will survive unharmed." All hesitation vanished from Xiao Yufeng's eyes. His face darkening completely, he drew a dagger from his waist, sliced his fingertip, and pressed his blooded fingerprint on the divorce letter without a moment's hesitation. In his haste, an old book hanging at his waist came into view. My eyes turned cold, and I reached out quickly to take it. "I gave this to you yesterday. It is only right that it be returned to me." Xiao Yufeng barely glanced at the book as I took it. As soon as he learned the hiding place of his legal elder sister, he crumpled the divorce letter with his fingerprint and threw it at my feet. "You are simply unreasonable. Once I save Mu Xin, I will settle scores with you." With that, he galloped back into the city without a backward glance. I bent down to pick up the crumpled divorce letter, smoothed it out gently, and the gloom in my heart lifted. "This time, Xiao Yufeng, it is I who do not want you anymore, too." I folded the divorce letter, tucked it into my bundle along with the book, and prepared to leave with the fleeing common people. My mother-in-law, standing by the luggage with a dark scowl, strode over to block my way. She snapped at me, her face thunderous. "Truly, a child born of a concubine is never up to par. You should be grateful that my son agreed to marry you in the first place. Yet you dare to ask for a divorce. What audacity! If this gets out, people will laugh and say the Xiao family has no moral integrity. Hurry and pack our things for us. Are you not causing enough trouble?" if you dare to act out again, I will make my son divorce you for real sooner or later." My mother-in-law shoved me hard toward the pile of tattered luggage. I stumbled and turned to look. My father-in-law was sitting on the luggage, his face contorted with rage, as if he could kill me on the spot. My mother-in-law tried to grab me again, but I could bear it no longer and kicked her to the ground. "I have no more ties to Xiao Yufeng. Lingju City is not safe now. If you dare to provoke me again, I will kill you." She froze in place, a mix of shock and fear in her eyes. I turned and left. My mother-in-law tried to stop me again, but my anxious father-in-law pulled her back. "Hurry and pack our things and leave. Are you going to act crazy with her? This worthless woman won't get far before she comes crawling back, and when she does, I will beat her to within an inch of her life." They were certain I would not go far, but in this life, I would go higher and farther than any of them could imagine. 3. I was the neglected concubine's daughter of the city lord's mansion in Lingju. In my past life, I had been more beautiful than my legal elder sister since childhood, and she had resented me deeply for it. On the day I came of age, she asked our father to hold a silk ball throwing ceremony to choose a husband for me, and she tossed the silk ball to Xiao Yufeng, a city guard who had been passing by carrying a corpse. For 2 years after our marriage, Xiao Yufeng and I had treated each other with polite respect, though I had faintly sensed he had developed an inappropriate affection for my legal elder sister. He had reined it in after I dropped subtle hints. Later, when the rebel army attacked the city, I fled outside the city with my parents-in-law to meet him. Xiao Yufeng was desperate to go back and save his legal elder sister. I tried to stop him, but he spoke earnestly. "Your legal elder sister is alone. Once I rescue her and send her to a safe place, I will come back and live a good life with you." I believed him. I took my parents-in-law and found a temporary shelter first, serving them and waiting bitterly for 10 years. During those 10 years, my parents-in-law had claimed they were too old and deserved to live in comfort. They made me pour their tea, wash their clothes, cook their meals, and toil tirelessly to earn money to support the family. I dared only sleep for 2 hours each day, and all the silver I earned was taken by my parents-in-law, who said they needed it to bribe officials to find their son. But in the blink of an eye, Xiao Yufeng had led the Xiao army to become the ever-victorious general praised by the people. And his legal elder sister was his bright and beautiful general's wife. My parents-in-law, dressed in magnificent silks, followed behind her, their faces oozing with flattery. "My son has brought glory to our family. Only you are worthy of him. If it weren't for your letters all these years telling us we still had to live off her earnings, I would have divorced her long ago on my own accord." I rushed home in disbelief and searched frantically, finding a thick stack of letters under my parents-in-law's bed. It turned out that after Xiao Yufeng rescued his legal elder sister, he had never intended to come back for me. He had joined the army with her, publicly declaring her his wife, and relying on the war strategy book I had given him. He had won battle after battle and become a general. During this time, fearing his parents would be left uncared for, he had specially written letters telling them to hide the truth from me. I rushed into his mansion like a madwoman, demanding justice for myself, but my tofu stall was smashed to pieces on the charge of causing a disturbance, and I was beaten bloody. Before I lost consciousness completely, I dimly saw Xiao Yufeng and the other two walking toward me. A letter slipped from Xiao Yufeng's hand and fell in front of me, the 2 characters divorce letter clearly visible at the top. A little girl by the legal elder sister's side spoke in a childish voice, "Mother, this beggar is staring at us." The legal elder sister soothed her softly. "Don't look, she's dirty." Xiao Yufeng reached out and covered the little girl's eyes tightly. 4. The memory filled my eyes with hatred. I clenched the book in my hand, disguised myself as a man, and followed the crowd toward Yongzhong County. The Mo army, sent by the imperial court to suppress the rebels, was stationed in Yongzhong County. In my past life, I had wanted to take my parents-in-law there. But my mother-in-law had refused, saying the army camp was too chaotic. In the end, I had no choice but to settle in a desolate village with few people. But now, I was heading straight for the Mo Army. When I reached Yongsan County, a large number of soldiers had already set up camp outside the city. A huge flag with the character Mo was tied to the top of the military tents. The Mo army was the most powerful army in the Great Yu dynasty, led by the emperor's younger brother, Jun Mo, who was only 24 years old. I gripped the 10 directions and the heart classic of medicine tightly in my hand, and walked resolutely to the soldier guarding the outer military tent, lowering my voice. Excuse me, does the army need temporary physicians? I know medical skills. These 2 books were relics my mother had stuffed into my hands with her last strength before she died. The former was both a martial arts secret manual and a collection of war strategies. The latter was a medical book, covering human physiology, bones, meridians, medicinal herbs, and the diagnosis, treatment and prevention of various diseases. I had read it more than 100 times. In my past life, it was with the 10 directions that I had given Xiao Yufeng that he had won countless military exploits and become a general admired by all. As for me, when I merely suggested opening a medical clinic to earn money, my mother-in-law had beaten me half to death with a stick. How can my son's wife go around looking at the bodies of other men? She had shouted that I was violating women's virtues, locking me in a room without food or water for 3 days. She had even snuck into my room with a pair of scissors several times while I slept, trying to slash my face. The glory and wealth they had gained by using me as a stepping stone, they would have to pay it back 1,000-fold, a 10,000-fold in this life, with my fast and exquisite medical skills. I became a temporary military physician for the Mo Army in Yongsan County. In just 2 days, I treated 49 people and made a small name for myself in the outer tents. I never expected, however, to run into Xiao Yufeng at the entrance of the military tent. He dismounted from his horse, holding his legal elder sister in his arms, his panic plain to see, and charged straight for the camp. "Physician, is there a physician here? My wife has been poisoned by an arrow." 5. Women were not allowed to enter the camp without reason. Xiao Yufeng, holding his legal elder sister, was stopped by the guards. I walked toward the medical tent, my heart growing cold. I had not told his legal elder sister's real hiding place that day, yet Xiao Yufeng had still found her. Truly, those 2 were of one mind. I pushed the thought aside and focused on bandaging the wound of the soldier in front of me in the tent. I had just finished when Xiao Yufeng burst in with his legal elder sister in a fluster. He laid her gently on a clean cot. "Physician, my wife was poisoned by an arrow in the shoulder. Please save her." "Mu Hua, what are you doing here?" Recognizing me, Xiao Yufeng froze in place, his eyes shifting from urgency to shock. He scanned me up and down, then glanced at the soldier in front of me, whose trouser leg was clearly cut open to the thigh. An inexplicable anger surged in his chest. He strode forward in a few steps, grabbed my arm and pulled me away from the soldier, his face dark as he ground out, "Where are father and mother? Why aren't you with them? You left them behind to be a military physician here. Do you know this place is full of men? You're a woman." He paused. "How dare you show yourself in public like this?" He tugged at me, trying to drag me out of the tent. "Hurry back to father and mother." I wrenched free of his grip and slapped him across the face. Amusement bubbled up in my heart despite everything. "I told you the other day, from now on, we have nothing to do with each other. Did you turn a deaf ear? What do your parents have to do with me?" Left standing aside, the legal elder sister let out a painful whimper. I looked at her, who was clearly feigning unconsciousness, and spoke with a cold laugh. "I won't treat her wound. Find someone else." I bent down to pick up my medicine box and lifted my foot to leave. But the legal elder sister suddenly opened her eyes, staring at me with a sinister glint. "Sister, what are you doing here?" I've been looking for you for so long. Why are you dressed like this?" As soon as she spoke, she glanced around, seemingly realizing something, and quickly clapped a hand over her mouth. "Oh dear. Did I say something wrong?" She looked at the soldiers around her, who were all dumbfounded, and waved her hand hastily, feigning a slip of the tongue. "I'm delirious from the wound. Don't take it to heart, everyone. This is my younger brother, not my sister. Don't search him. He's really not a woman." As she spoke, she seemed to grow agitated, and a trickle of black blood spilled from her lips. Xiao Yufeng hurried to her side, his eyes filled with heartache. He roared at me, "What are you standing there for? Hurry over here and treat her." But Captain Zhao, who had led Xiao Yufeng into the tent, suddenly drew his sword and pressed it against my neck, his face cold and stern. "General Xiao, you'd better find another physician for your wife. Physician Mu must come with me to the interrogation platform at once." 6. A woman disguising herself as a man and sneaking into the military camp, if verified by the interrogation platform. She would be beaten to death in front of all the soldiers according to military law. Watching me being led away by Captain Zhao, the legal elder sister shot me a provocative glance where Xiao Yufeng could not see. I stared down at the sharp blade against my neck, my heart tightening. Though I held my medicine box and walked out of the tent with a calm face, my mind was racing to find a way to escape. In the next instant, a steed pulling a low-key carriage galloped past. Heading straight for the inner military tents, a thick stench of blood and an anxious voice came from the front of the carriage. "His Royal Highness the Prince's order, assemble all military physicians, regardless of identity or rank. Proceed to the main tent at once." Joy flashed through my heart, but I forced my face to remain calm. "I am also a military physician. Please obey the military order, Captain Zhao, and send me to the main tent to await instructions." Inside the main tent, a man in a black battle robe sat by the tea table. His chiseled face was astonishingly handsome, his unblinking gaze fixed on the direction of the couch, a hint of heroism and worry etched between his brows. The military physicians in the tent took turns stepping forward to feel the pulse of the person on the couch. Yet all of them walked to the man in trepidation and reported, "Your subordinate's medical skills are inadequate. We beg your Royal Highness for forgiveness." So this was the famous god of war, Prince Junmo. Hearing the physician's words, Junmo's face darkened in an instant. He walked to the couch and sat down, a flicker of imperceptible grief in his eyes, his voice deep yet trembling slightly. "Incompetent quacks, I don't care what methods you use, you must save her. Otherwise, you can forget about being military physicians any longer." The physicians who had felt the pulse all fell to their knees, those who had not took their turns to step forward. Then joined the kneeling physicians on the ground. Junmo's face grew darker and darker. There were still more than a dozen physicians ahead of me in the line. If this went on, the patient's condition would only worsen with delay, and I desperately needed this chance. I stepped forward from the line on my own initiative and said calmly to Junmo in front, "Your subordinate can save her. Will your Royal Highness allow me to examine the patient first? Then what are you waiting for? Hurry forward and treat her. If you fail to save her, I will take your life." Everyone made way for me at once. I walked forward steadily, my heart filled with surprise. The patient was clearly only a 12 or 13-year-old child, and a girl disguised as a boy at that. After feeling her pulse, I understood why so many physicians had been at a loss. The girl's pulse was deep and thready, almost imperceptible. Her hands and feet were ice cold, and she had lost consciousness. The bandage around the wound on her chest was already soaked bright red with blood. I tried to lift the bandage to examine the wound, but Junmo reached out and stopped me instinctively. 7. I looked at him, and he withdrew his hand as if evading something. I turned to glance at the others, all of whose eyes were fixed on this spot, and my heart became clear. "Your Royal Highness, the patient's pulse is weak. I need to examine the wound carefully to confirm the treatment method." The large number of people in the tent is also detrimental to the patient. Could you let the others leave first? Junmo waved his hand, and everyone bowed and retreated at once. Only I, Junmo, and the person on the bed remained in the tent, to be so cherished by Junmo. The identity of the person on the bed was undoubtedly extraordinary. Junmo looked at me with a hint of caution and wariness. I took the initiative to reveal my female identity to him. Your subordinate had no choice but to enter the military camp. I have no intention of seeking wealth, harming lives, or endangering the country. I will do my utmost to save this girl's life. I beg your Royal Highness to spare my life. I paused for a moment. The patient's wound is festering and needs to be retreated. Her hands and feet are cold, and she is unconscious. My family's ancestral medical book records an acupuncture method for unconsciousness. I will perform acupuncture until her pulse recovers and she regains consciousness, and then she will live. Junmo's cold voice came. How long will it take? The acupuncture will take about a whole night, and she will wake up after 3 more days of recuperation. Junmo looked at me, his imposing aura emanating steadily. After 3 breaths, he stood up and stepped aside to make way for me. Save her, and I will keep your head on your shoulders. I hurried forward, took out my medicine box, and redressed her wound and inserted the needles. Daring not to relax for a moment, I did not step out of the tent for 3 consecutive days. Meals were brought to me, and the medicinal decoctions I needed to brew were prepared and delivered by special attendants. Apart from occasionally sending someone to watch me when he went out, Junmo stayed in the tent and kept his eyes on me for the rest of the time. Until the person on the bed woke up and called Junmo third brother in a slightly childish and hoarse voice. The two did not deliberately avoid me in their conversation. Only then did I learn that this was Junmo's blood sister, Princess Anning, Jun Yarrow. I had successfully saved Jun Yarrow and became the female physician taking care of her by her side. Junmo looked at me with an unreadable gaze. I didn't expect you to be so capable. Junmo issued an order to conceal the female identities of both me and Jun Yarrow. The moment I knew my life was safe, the heart that had been hanging by a thread finally relaxed. 8. After 7 consecutive days of recuperation, Jun Yarrow could no longer bear to stay in the tent. Coincidentally, the medicinal decoction brewed for her was almost ready. I had to find a set of men's clothes for her to put on and take her to the pharmacy to get the medicine together. Upon arriving at the pharmacy, I led her to a table and let her sit down. I turned around and walked toward the decoction area, only to bump into Xiao Yufeng and his legal elder sister Shen Muxin walking in arm by accident. Shen Muxin's face was ruddy, and her steps were steady. She looked to have fully recovered. Lifting her eyes and seeing me, Shen Muxin leaned half her body against Xiao Yufeng. Xiao Yufeng looked down at her, the corners of his mouth curving slightly. His gaze shifted and fell on me. A flash of fluster in his eyes, yet he did not pull his hand away from Shen Muxin's. I rolled my eyes at the two of them and carried Jun Yarrow's medicinal decoction to her table. The herbalist who was brewing medicine saw Xiao Yufeng and his legal elder sister coming, and quickly picked up her medicinal decoction, holding it forward with an obsequious smile. Madam Xiao, this is your medicinal decoction for today. Madam Xiao. I looked at Xiao Yufeng, and he did not have the slightest intention of correcting the address. He just took the decoction with one hand calmly, supported Shen Muxin with the other, and sat down opposite me, his voice gentle. Be careful, it's hot. Wait for it to cool a little before drinking. Shen Muxin triumphantly tightened her grip on Xiao Yufeng's arm, her fingers brushing lightly over the medal on his chest. Sister abandoned Yufeng and fled when disaster struck, but Yufeng risked his life to save me. He is a hero in my heart, and I have resolved to pledge myself to him for life. Sister appears here now. Did you hear that Yufeng has been promoted to captain, in charge of 1,000 soldiers, and come specially to find him? Sister is really scheming, but apart from taking care of me, Yufeng is busy with official business now. I'm afraid he has no time to catch up with you. Xiao Yufeng patted Shen Muxin's hand lightly, his peripheral vision glancing at me, after hearing Shen Muxin's words. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth, as if he thought I had really come here specially to beg for his forgiveness. I forced down the nausea I felt for the two of them, turned around, and gently supported Jun Yaro's shoulders, speaking in a soft voice, "It's time to drink your medicine." "Who is he?" Seeing my attentive gesture, Xiao Yufeng let go of Shen Muxin's hand, stood up straight, and suddenly spoke, his sharp gaze falling on Jun Yaro, an injured soldier. I handed the medicine bowl to Jun Yaro, not lifting my head, and replied briefly. Jun Yaro's eyes flitted about, and her fingers pinched my arm where no one could see, her voice soft as she spoke. "I want you to feed me." She pouted with her still pale, childish face, the spitting image of a delicate young man, helpless. I affectionately brought the bowl to her lips, letting her drink the medicine from my hand. Xiao Yufeng stepped forward in a hurry to stop us, only to be interrupted by Shen Muxin's sudden chuckle. "Sister, you really are skilled, clinging to another man so quickly, but he looks so frail. Can he give you happiness?" At my elder sister's reckless words, my hand trembled, and a few drops of medicinal soup splashed onto Jun Yaro's lapel. I hastened to wipe it with a handkerchief. Xiao Yufeng yanked me away, his face dark with anger. "Shen Muhua, do you have any shame as a woman? If you're trying to make me jealous, it's unnecessary." I brushed him off, my gaze shifting from his face to my elder sister's, cutting him off in a cold voice. "Captain Xiao, you're mistaken. What I do is none of your business. Your Madam Xiao is watching right there." A flicker of loneliness crossed Xiao Yufeng's face, but he quickly hardened his features, turning back to wrap an arm around Shen Muxin's waist, his words firm. "You're right. Muxin has stayed by my side through thick and thin, and she's suffered a great deal these days. I will never wrong her. When I have the means, I will let her live a life of ease and plenty." Shen Muxin nestled shyly in his arms. Xiao Yufeng picked up the medicine bowl and fed her spoon by spoon, the two of them brimming with tender affection. I paid no heed to their sweet nothings behind me, focusing only on continuing to feed Jun Yaro her medicine, ignoring the angry gaze that fell on me every now and then. 10. After Jun Yaro finished her medicine, I led her to leave, only to stop suddenly, my eyes falling on the medicinal herbs drying in the pharmacy hall. Jun Yaro had suffered an arrow wound. Though it was almost healed, scars were apt to form on the wound site. As a woman, and a young princess at that, a scar on her body would surely trouble her greatly. "Herbalist, please give me 20 grams of roasted pangolin scales, 6 grams of vitex seeds, and 60 grams of Salvia miltioriza." I looked at Jun Yaro, who wore a puzzled expression, and spoke softly. "These are all excellent herbs for removing scars and promoting tissue regeneration. They'll do you good." The herbalist frowned, seemingly thinking it a waste of such precious medicinal herbs to use them for scar removal on a grown man. But when he looked at my face and saw the noble bearing of the person by my side, he said nothing, fetched the herbs, and placed the packed medicine on the counter. "Sir, according to military regulations, anyone taking medicinal herbs from the pharmacy must register and pay for them themselves. The total is 8 taels of silver." I reached out to take the herbs, only to have my elder sister, who had appeared behind me unawares, beat me to it. She snatched the herbs from the counter, weighed them in her hand, raised her chin haughtily, and her voice shrilled, "I'll take all these herbs." Shen Muxin twisted past me with the herbs, glanced at me out of the corner of her eye, and a sneer curled her lips. "Sister, why buy such a paltry amount of shabby herbs? But then again, what money could a discarded woman like you have? These fine herbs are better left to me." She picked up the herbs and glared at the herbalist. "You clueless fool, hurry and pack up all the rest of these herbs for me." The herbalist was tongue-tied, rubbing his hands in embarrassment. "Madam Xiao, The general has ordered that medicinal herbs may not be taken from the pharmacy at will to prevent shortages. Even if they are taken, each person is limited to a fixed amount each time. For Captain Xiao's sake, you may take this portion, you only need to pay 8 taels of silver. At his words, Shen Muxin held out her hand instinctively, only to find it empty. She realized and dropped her hand, her face flushing red and then paling white in turns. Shen Muxin had been spoiled since childhood, with maids and servants attending to her every need whenever she went out. When had she ever carried money on her own? What was more, my foolhardy father, the city lord, had personally welcomed the rebel army into the city, only to have his throat slit and his body hung at the city gate for display in the blink of an eye, throwing the city into chaos. She had been lucky to escape with her life. There was probably not a single copper coin on her person. 11. Shen Muxin turned and tugged at Xiao Yufeng's sleeve, her voice sickly sweet. Yufeng, look at these people, they have no sense of propriety at all. Hurry and tell them who we are. How dare they ask us for money? Xiao Yufeng frowned, his hand unconsciously reaching for his waist, only to find it empty. Seeing this, a hint of contempt and understanding flashed in the herbalist's eyes. He turned to fetch the account book, his voice cold. Madam Xiao, the cost of the medicinal herbs used for your recuperation these days has also not been settled. According to military regulations, soldiers and their family members who are injured non-combat related must pay for military medicinal herbs themselves. Captain Xiao has used only the most precious herbs for you, totaling 35 taels and 6 chen of silver. What do you say? At this, Shen Muxin's face turned deathly pale in an instant, her hand clinging tightly to Xiao Yufeng's. Xiao Yufeng pressed his lips together, stubbornly rummaging through his sleeve pockets, the hidden pocket on his chest, and even taking off his boot to feel inside, but not a single copper coin could he find. Several pairs of eyes were fixed on them, his usually cold and stern face flushed red little by little, and fine beads of sweat oozed from his forehead. I watched the scene coldly, a bitter sneer rising in my heart. Since marrying Xiao Yufeng, he had never worried about money. He squandered his wages as soon as he received them, either feasting his colleagues or helping out down-and-out brothers. He never cared that I toiled day and night, embroidering and copying books to make ends meet, to pay for the firewood, rice, oil and salt for the family. The herbalist looked on with a mocking gaze. Captain Xiao, if you are not in a position to pay now, you may sign an IOU and settle the debt within 7 days. Xiao Yufeng clenched his fists in embarrassment. I let out a soft laugh, took a gold leaf from my purse, and handed it to the herbalist. My elder sister stared fixedly at the gold leaf, her eyes shining. A trace of relief flickered in Xiao Yufeng's eyes, but his voice was cold. I, Xiao Yufeng, do not need you to pay for me. 12. Once upon a time, whenever his pockets were empty, I would always step in to pay in time. Now, though Xiao Yufeng refused with his words, his fingers spread open instinctively. Reaching out to take the gold leaf from my hand, I dodged his fingertips, placing the gold leaf on the counter, my voice calm. I am paying for my share of the medicinal herbs, not helping you. At my words, Xiao Yufeng's face turned from white to red, then from red to green, and his jet-black eyes turned scarlet in an instant. Shen Muhua, you, what about me? I met his gaze head-on, a smile that did not reach my eyes on my lips. Surely Captain Xiao does not think I will still let you take whatever you want from me, hand you silver as I once did. Xiao Yufeng's face contorted with anger, his lips moving, but not a single word came out. I waited as the herbalist packed my herbs and gave me my change. Shen Muxin suddenly let out a shrill laugh, pointing at Jun Yao. I was wondering why sister would take a fancy to this sickly pretty boy. So you're climbing the social ladder? She sized up Jun Yao's pale face exaggeratedly, her voice dripping with sarcasm. So frail and delicate, surely all show and no substance. How much silver is he giving you? She mocked me. Jun Yaro's face flushed red, and she stepped forward to argue with my elder sister. I quickly grabbed her wrist. Do not lose your temper over irrelevant people, it is not worth it. My fingers brushed against her pulse inadvertently, and to my surprise, it was beating much faster than normal. I set aside all else and felt her pulse on the spot. That's enough. Xiao Yufeng suddenly flew into a rage, the veins on his forehead bulging. He stared fixedly at my hand resting on Jun Yaro's wrist, his eyes swirling with emotions I could not read. Shen Muhua, you are still a member of the Xiao family. How dare you hold and touch another man in front of me? Have you no shame at all? You are truly blinded by greed, utterly shameless. He reached out to pull me away. I sidestepped him, shielding Jun Yaro behind me, and looked Xiao Yufeng up and down. He wore a plain, shabby battle robe, the cuffs frayed at the edges. I laughed, not with anger, but with amusement. I have nothing to do with the Xiao family anymore. What I do is none of your business. My eyes are sharp, I can tell the difference between a blockhead and a rare pearl. I raised my eyes and saw Xiao Yufeng's face turn livid in an instant, and my smile deepened. I'm just afraid some people are full of self-importance, trying to put gold on their own faces. You. Xiao Yufeng took a fierce step forward, raising his hand to slap me, only to be interrupted by a soldier who burst in, his voice loud. Captain Xiao, an elderly couple has come to the camp gate, claiming to be your parents. Shen Muxin tugged at Xiao Yufeng's arm, her eyes lighting up. Aren't those your father and mother? They must have money on them. Let's go find them. Shen Muxin shot me a triumphant glance, pulling Xiao Yufeng along as she ran, her steps light and quick. Xiao Yufeng stumbled after her, a hint of joy also on his face. I watched the two of them leave coldly, a father addicted to gambling, a mother vain, gluttonous and lazy. The Xiao family is a bottomless pit. If my elder sister wants to jump in, let her. 13. I escorted Jun Yaro back to her tent. Knowing her wound needed better care, once she fell asleep, I planned to go out to the county town to buy some medicine pounding tools, and some softer cotton cloth to make her some feminine things. I had just greeted the soldiers at the camp gate when Jun Mo, who appeared out of nowhere, called out to me. Where are you going? He stood there, his deep eyes as if they could see into one's soul, his handsome face like that of a painted beauty. I glanced at him, then lowered my head slightly and spoke softly. He paused for a moment, then stepped past me and walked ahead, his thin lips parting. I'll go with you. He put his hand to his lips and let out a unique whistle. And a majestic steed appeared. Jun Mo leaped onto the horse and held out his hand to me. I pursed my lips, walked over and mounted the horse, thinking only that he was anxious to protect his sister. Besides, I was dressed as a man now, so two men riding the same horse should be fine. But once on the horse, feeling the warm breath on the back of my neck, my heart fluttered and I had to sit as far forward as possible. In the county town, Jun Mo found a place to tie the horse. I spotted a cloth shop not far away and hurried over. Shin, stop right there. A shrill shout came from the left. I paused my steps even without turning around. I knew that harsh voice belonged to my former mother-in-law. I slowly raised my eyes, and sure enough, saw my mother-in-law charging towards me aggressively, with Xiao Yufeng and his party following behind her. You shameless hussy who disregards women's virtues. She grabbed my arm in a vice grip. Her voice so loud that almost all the common people on the street turned their heads. I've heard everything from Fonga. How dare you show yourself in public and look at other men's bodies? You've brought endless shame to the Xiao family. My father-in-law, who followed behind, stepped to the side and spat as he spoke. That's right. Now that Yufeng is a captain. As his daughter-in-law, you hurry home to serve us, your parents-in-law, and stay home to support your husband and raise your children properly. What kind of look is this? A crowd gathered around us, and Shen Muxin and Xiao Yufeng, who had been walking slowly behind, pushed through the crowd and approached. Amid the varied gazes of the crowd, I let out a soft laugh. I think you two have the wrong person. Isn't your good daughter-in-law right by your son's side? I glanced meaningfully at Shun Muxin. As for me, I have long since cut off all ties with the Xiao family. Xiao Yufeng frowned at me, his eyes filled with complexity. Mu Hua, stop being willful and come back with father and mother. They can't be left uncared for. 14. Willful. I stared at Xiao Yufeng coldly, took a crumpled letter from my arms, and unfolded it in public. Xiao Yufeng, you must have forgotten I, Shun Mu Hua, have already divorced you. It's all in black and white, clear as day. And it even has your fingerprint on it. I held up the divorce letter high, so everyone could see the words on it. The crowd erupted in an uproar. My father-in-law scoffed. There was no such thing as a woman divorcing her husband. I smiled softly. Everyone, please judge for me. This Captain Xiao married me. Yet his heart was always with my elder sister. On the day Lingju City was attacked, he even abandoned me and his own parents to go back and save my elder sister. And now the two of them are still holding hands tightly. These former parents-in-law of mine are lazy and gluttonous. My former mother-in-law sleeps until noon every day, and my former father-in-law is a compulsive gambler who beats his daughter-in-law to vent his anger when he loses money, with such cold and ungrateful hearts. Why can't I divorce him? Besides, the Great Yu dynasty has long had laws allowing women to divorce their husbands. I laid out their misdeeds one by one, and the crowd burst into discussions. A vegetable-selling aunt could not help but speak up. Good for you, working hard without being appreciated. You're better off on your own. More vendors chimed in. Look at this family, dressed up all nice and proper, but they're actually worse than animals behind closed doors. Their consciences have been eaten by dogs. They're even more unscrupulous than me. A merchant, the crowd pointed and whispered. And my former parents-in-law's faces turned red and white in turns. Xiao Yufeng's mother reached out to snatch the divorce letter from my hand. You bitch, who allowed you to take this out? I nimbly stepped back, and the crowd immediately separated me from her and the others. Xiao Yufeng stood there, his fists clenched tightly. Hearing my words, there was anger, shock, and confusion in his eyes, but he could not utter a single word, unable to bear the public scolding. Xiao Yufeng's father turned around, dragged his wife, and squeezed out of the crowd in embarrassment. My elder sister also pulled Xiao Yufeng to leave, glaring at me with a vicious look in her eyes. Before leaving, Xiao Yufeng turned back and stared deeply at me, a hint of unreadable emotion in his eyes. The crowd dispersed, and I turned to walk towards the cloth shop, only to see Jun Mo standing not far behind me, having been there who knew how long, his posture straight. An unreadable emotion in his brows. 15. 5 days had passed since I bought the supplies and returned. I heard that yesterday was Xiao Yufeng and Shun Muxin's wedding day, using her identity as the legitimate daughter of Lingju City's lord. Shun Muxin had coaxed Xiao Yufeng's parents into taking out all their life savings to hold a grand wedding. I paid no heed to it. I just sat in the medicine tent, grinding the dried medicinal herbs into a fine powder carefully, but as I was pounding, the tent curtain was suddenly lifted, a strong scent of powder wafted in, and Shun Muxin walked in triumphantly. Sister, why are you hiding here? You look so pale. I frowned. It's your first day as a newlywed. Why aren't you at home serving your parents-in-law, coming here instead? At my words, Shun Muxin twirled around triumphantly, showing off her gorgeous clothes. Of course I'm here to see my dear sister. Yufeng said that from now on, I'm the legitimate captain's wife. And he'll never let me live a hard life again. She leaned close to me and said with a grin, I heard you waited on those 2 old codgers every day. Don't worry, I'll hire maids and servants to do the work from now on. I'm not as stupid as you. I calmly put the pounded medicine into a jar. Looking up at her triumphant and delicate face, I suddenly smiled. Is that so? Then good luck to you, sister. Shun Muxin felt chills at my smile, straightened up and snorted coldly. You're just jealous. Yufeng does everything I say now, and my parents-in-law treat me like a treasure, not wanting me to lift a finger. You'll never have such a good life in this lifetime." With that, she left with her nose in the air. I watched her retreating figure, a gambling-addicted father-in-law, a spendthrift mother-in-law. How long could she keep up the pretense? Shun Mushin, picking up the man I discarded. "Your good days are over." 16. Nearly half a month passed again. Jun Yaro's wound had healed 7 or 8 tenths. I checked the medicine box and spoke softly. "Are you really sure? The border near the northern domain is bitter and cold, and the battles are dangerous. Is His Royal Highness Prince Mo willing to let you go there?" Jun Yaro helped me pack the medicine into the box, a smile curving her lips. "Third brother would never feel at ease letting me go back to the capital alone. Besides, aren't you also leaving this place for the border?" As soon as I said I wanted to go with you to study medicine, he agreed at once. I lowered my head and tied the medicine box tightly, remaining silent. By now, the rebels in Lingju City had been quelled by the Mo army. The rebel king, who had launched the rebellion in an attempt to usurp the throne, had also been captured alive by Jun Mo. Lingju City was gradually returning to its former peace, but I could not bear to stay in this place of heartbreak any longer. This place held too many unbearable memories for me. Learning that the Mo army would march north soon to support the troops fighting against the northern domain invaders who intended to invade the Great Yu's territory, I did not hesitate for a moment and planned to follow them. On the day of departure, I got ready early. My foot had just stepped onto the carriage when a familiar high-pitched laugh came. I froze, then slowly turned around. Shun Mushin, wearing an inappropriately gorgeous brocade dress, was walking towards me, linking arms with Xiao Yufeng. Xiao Yufeng was in military uniform, his face gaunt, while Shun Mushin was all smiles. Seeing me, she let go of Xiao Yufeng's hand and stepped forward, exclaiming in an exaggerated tone, "Oh my, isn't this my dear sister? What a coincidence. We're also going north with the army." I stared at her coldly. "Shouldn't you be enjoying your blessings in Lingju City? Captain Xiao, instead of being a good garrison captain, is going to risk his life on the front line. Besides, didn't His Royal Highness Prince Mo refuse to enlist you too?" As I finished speaking, Shun Mushin's smile froze for a moment. Then she composed herself and forced an even brighter smile. "A real man aspires to far and wide. What's the point of guarding a small city, if the Mo family won't take us? Other generals will recruit soldiers when we reach the border." My gaze caught a familiar bruise accidentally exposed on Shun Mushin's arm. It must have been left by Xiao Yufeng's father hitting her with a ruler when he was drunk. I glanced around, and did not see Xiao Yufeng's parents. It seemed that Shun Mushin could no longer stand the torment of her in-laws and had deliberately coaxed Xiao Yufeng into sneaking out with her. A cold laugh rose in my heart, but Shun Mushin was lost in her own world. Quite triumphant, her chin seemingly raised to the sky. "I have a premonition that this time going north, Yufeng will surely perform great meritorious deeds and become a mighty general, and then I'll be the general's wife. Don't be jealous." My face turned cold, and my tone was sarcastic. "Before you dream, you'd better think about how to survive on the battlefield. The northern domain people are brutal, and they won't show any mercy." 17. Shun Mushin's smile froze on her face. She was about to retort when Jun Yaro suddenly stuck her head out of the carriage. "Madam, your makeup is smudged." Shun Mushin fumbled for a mirror in a fluster. Jun Yaro winked at me, and I took the chance to get into the carriage. As the curtain fell, Xiao Yufeng just happened to walk closer to the carriage. His face was haggard, with heavy dark circles under his eyes, and exhaustion written all over his brows. He raised his eyes to look at me, his eyes flickering for a moment. His lips moved, as if he wanted to say something, but when the curtain fell in front of him, he finally only spoke stiffly to Shun Mushin. "Let's go, it's time to set off." The carriage followed the army forward at a fast pace. Sitting inside the carriage, I wondered what the future held for me. But thinking of Xiao Yufeng and Shun Muxin who had followed us, it would surely be a nightmare for them. 18. Madam, more chili on today's tofu pudding. Uncle Wang from the neighboring shop sat on a stool waiting early in the morning. I wiped the sweat from my forehead, washed my hands, lifted the lid of the tofu bucket, scooped out a big bowl, added chili, and brought it over with a smile. I know you love this, so I specially took the tenderest part for you. 3 months ago, when I marched north and reached Shaowu Pass, I came to this city closest to the northern domain, though I had wanted to practice medicine in the military camp. The wounded soldiers who knew I was a woman blushed bright red at the sight of me, shouting for other military physicians to treat their injuries. I had no choice but to leave the camp. Thus, I thought of opening this tofu shop cum medical clinic in the city. I sell tofu and tofu pudding in the morning, see patients in the afternoon, and study medical prescriptions or develop newbin products at night. Life is quite fulfilling. Jun Yao, who stays by my side, teases me that I am busier than her father the emperor, yet her tiny figure is always right behind me, bustling about to help me with everything. Miss Shin, your dried tofu is simply amazing. The batch you sent last time stayed good for half a month in a cool place. The soldiers all say it's far better than just eating hardtack. Captain Zhao, who is in charge of purchasing dried tofu from me, walked into the shop with 2 soldiers. This batch is a new recipe I developed. With 5 spice powder added, it should last even longer. I led him to fetch the packed dried tofu, and Captain Zhao's face broke into a grin that reached his ears. Ever since arriving at Shaowu Pass, I have been trying to improve tofu. After many failed attempts, I finally developed dried tofu that can be preserved for a long time. This dried tofu has also become one of the military procurement supplies for the Mo army. After seeing Captain Zhao off, I wiped my hands and prepared to go west of the city to buy more soybeans. On the way, I unexpectedly ran into Shun Muxin, who was ordering Xiao Yufeng to scrub clothes. 19. Xiao Yufeng squatted by the river, his military uniform crumpled, his cuffs rolled up high, with a few scars on his arms. As my elder sister had said, Xiao Yufeng joined another army after arriving at Shaowu Pass. He gets 1 day off a month for rest, and today is surely that day. I averted my gaze and continued walking, but accidentally bumped into a wooden board leaning against the wall, which clattered loudly. Xiao Yufeng suddenly looked up at me, our eyes meeting. He stood up instinctively, wiped his clothes, and tied at his robe. Mu Hua. Shock, embarrassment, and regret filled Xiao Yufeng's eyes. He was gaunt, a far cry from his former handsome and complacent self. As for me, I wore a neat and clean cotton dress, my hair neatly coiled, my cheeks ruddy with health. His voice was hoarse. It seems you are doing well. I spoke indifferently, naturally. Since leaving you, I have discovered how vast and wonderful the outside world is. Xiao Yufeng's face turned pale in an instant, and he hung his head dejectedly. Seeing this, Shun Muxin immediately bristled like an angry cat, her voice shrill. Xiao Yufeng, what do you mean by this? Still thinking about her? I'm not. Xiao Yufeng hastened to defend himself, yet his eyes couldn't help but glance at me, filled with complexity. I just... Shun Muxin's voice grew even sharper, drawing the stares of passers-by. If I hadn't married you, I would have been living in comfort in Lingju City. Why did I have to follow you to this godforsaken place, without even a maid to wash clothes? Can't you work harder, charge into battle bravely? I watched the two quarreling in the street coldly, suddenly finding it ridiculous. In my past life, I had humbled myself to the dust because of these 2 people. I shook my head, righted the wooden board, put the 2 out of my mind, and walked away. 20. After that day, I never saw Xiao Yufeng again. Shun Muxin, however, tried to come to the shop to find me a few times, claiming to be my elder sister, but was stopped outside by the 2 shop assistants I had hired. Then, Jun Yao dragged me in a fluster to the military camp. Hurry, My third brother is dying. Only you can save him. She choked back tears. Anxious like an ant on a hot pan, I poured her a cup of tea. My heart was in a mess. But my face remained calm. The carriage is already going as fast as it can, and there are military physicians with him. Slow down and tell me what exactly happened. Jun Yarrow calmed down a little with my comfort, sniffling as she told me the whole story. It turned out that a Northern Domain scout had sent word that all their grain and forage had been buried under the snow-capped mountains by an avalanche. General Hu Guangyuan, who had been stationed there for many years, was suddenly overcome by greed for merit and acted rashly, leading his troops to attack the Northern Domain camp without authorization, only to be ambushed by a feigned retreat of the Northern Domain army. Upon hearing the news, Jun Mo had no time to deploy his troops and had to rush to reinforce them, falling into the Northern Domain army's trick and being seriously wounded. As soon as I entered the camp, I noticed the heightened security. Patrolling soldiers had solemn expressions, and the air was filled with the stench of blood and an atmosphere of anxiety. When I reached Jun Mo's main tent, he lay on the couch. The bandage wrapped around his chest was soaked with blood, his lips completely bloodless. Several physicians bustled around the couch, changing his dressing in a fluster. Jun Yarrow stepped forward and pushed them aside. Move aside, let Physician Mu treat him. The military physicians exchanged glances, and after receiving a nod from Prince Mo, they all retreated outside the tent. I picked up my medicine box and stepped forward. Your Highness, forgive my presumption. I carefully lifted the blood-stained bandage, revealing a deep, long, bleeding gash that stretched from his left shoulder all the way to his right lower abdomen, with another arrow wound on his right shoulder. The area around the wound was a pungent bluish-purple. I leaned in to smell it. And Jun Mo let out a low groan above me, but I had no time to pay attention. I took a silver scalpel from the medicine box and held it over the fire to sterilize it. Your Highness has been poisoned by black feather venom. This poison robs one of their appetite, confuses their nerves, and drives them to madness. The poison has entered your blood. We must cut out the necrotic flesh at once. It will hurt. Please endure it, Your Highness. Jun Mo let out a soft laugh, his voice hoarse from blood loss. It's nothing. The silver scalpel sliced through the wound, and black blood gushed out continuously. Jun Mo's whole body tensed with muscle, yet he did not make a single sound. I focused all my attention on cleaning the wound, applying medicine, and rebandaging it. It's done. The poison has been removed, but the wound is extremely deep. Your Highness must rest carefully for half a month, and under no circumstances engage in martial arts. Before I could finish speaking, Vice General Kui Yang burst in and knelt on one knee. 21. The enemy has launched a surprise attack. They have broken through the eastern defense line and advanced 3 li. The generals request Your Highness to come to the War Council Hall at once. Upon hearing this, Jun Mo sat up immediately. I pressed his shoulder instinctively. No, you need to rest. Jun Mo looked up at me. His face was pale, but his eyes sparkled with an inexplicable light. Miss Shen, are you worried about me? I only then realized what I had done, hastily withdrew my hand, and lowered my eyes, speaking in a low voice. This commoner is only doing her duty as a physician, not wanting Your Highness to be injured again. In the next moment, Jun Mo suddenly lifted my chin, forcing me to look him in the eye. His fingers were cold, but his gaze was burning hot. Shen Mu Hua, if I promise you I will not be injured again, will you promise me one thing? His voice was bewitching, making my heart skip a beat suddenly. My cheeks burned, and I dared not meet his eyes. My hand unconsciously touched the hidden pocket on my chest, and almost as if possessed, I took out the book from the pocket and held it out to Jun Mo. Your Highness, perhaps this will be useful to you. It was the war strategy book my mother had left me, its cover already yellowed with age. Jun Mo took it in confusion, and his expression grew more and more agitated as he read. What is this? a relic my mother gave me. It was not until the vice-general urged him that he carefully tucked the book into his arms. As he stood up, he stared deeply at me, leaned close to my ear, and spoke softly, "Wait for me to come back." His breath lingered in my ear. I froze for a moment, watching his tall figure stride away, a strange warmth rising in my heart. 22. I had just walked out of Junmo's tent when two soldiers suddenly grabbed me by the arms, one on each side, and dragged me to another rather shabby military tent. Physician Mu, Captain Xiao wishes to see you. Xiao Yufeng lay on a simple couch, both his left and right legs wrapped in blood-stained bandages, with several knife wounds on his body, his face as white as a sheet. At the sight of me, a glimmer of hope burst in his eyes. Mu Hua. He forced himself to be composed, dismissed the two soldiers, and when only he and I were left in the tent, he struggled to sit up, entreaty in his eyes. Mu Hua. My legs. I stood where I was, watching him struggle painfully with a cold gaze. Captain Xiao has the wrong person. There are plenty of military physicians in the camp. At the mention of military physicians, Xiao Yufeng suddenly flew into a rage, grabbing the medicine bowl beside him and smashing it to the ground. Those incompetent quacks, they said my legs will never heal, that my tendons have all been cut. He collapsed back onto the couch, his face dejected, then turned to look at me. A glimmer of hope in his eyes. That war strategy book of yours was so miraculous it made me a general. Your medical book must also be a divine book. You can definitely heal me, right? My heart skipped a beat. Xiao Yufeng in this life had never seen the war strategy book. Could it be that Xiao Yufeng had also been reborn? I tested him, my voice calm and unfamiliar even to myself. What general? Aren't you just a captain? Xiao Yufeng stiffened for a moment, an unnatural look flashing across his face. He struggled to move closer to me. You have that war strategy book, don't you? Asterisk the 10 directions flash asterisk. If you heal me, and give me the book again, give me 10 years, and I will definitely become a general. Then I will make you my general's wife. 23. He crawled toward me in urgent haste. My heart turned cold by the second, my whole body trembling, yet I burst into involuntary laughter. Xiao Yufeng, isn't Shen Muxin your general's wife? Was I doomed to wait 10 years for you, only to be abandoned and beaten to death in a broken temple, and now, you still try to trick me into saving you? At my words, Xiao Yufeng froze mid-crawl, his face contorting with shock. You're reborn too, Mu Hua, listen to me, I know I was wrong. He struggled desperately to come closer. I stepped back, the tent curtain was suddenly flung open, and the vice-general burst in with fully armed soldiers. Xiao Yufeng, by the general's order, you deployed troops without authorization, causing heavy losses to our army, and deserted the battlefield in the heat of battle. You are under arrest and to be taken to the military law court at once. Xiao Yufeng's face turned ashen, and he thrashed about in resistance. I couldn't help but ask, what happened? The vice-general let out a cold snort. This Captain Xiao, craving merit, led his troops to attack without obeying military orders, only to fall into an ambush. More than half of his 900 elite soldiers were killed or injured. As for him, he abandoned his men and fled back alone. Xiao Yufeng roared in agitation. Lies, I came back to ask for reinforcements. The vice-general sneered. Reinforcements? Do you call cowering far away in His Royal Highness Prince Mo's tent, too afraid to show your face, asking for reinforcements, and sneaking to find a physician to heal your wounds? The vice-general signaled for Xiao Yufeng to be dragged away. As he passed by me, Xiao Yufeng suddenly broke free, threw himself at my legs, and madness flashed in his eyes. Mu Hua, save me. I have great skills, they can't be lost like this. I fled back to achieve great things in the future. The soldiers gagged him at once, hauled him up forcefully, and dragged him out like a dead dog. 24. Weary, I made my way back to the city, only to see Xiao Yufeng's parents sitting ragged and disheveled at the door of my medical clinic from a distance. I supposed they could no longer survive on their own, so they had come to Shaowu Pass to seek refuge with Xiao Yufeng. I just didn't know why they had found my clinic first. I had no energy left to deal with them. I paid an old aunt to go over and pretend to negotiate with them, leading them to Shen Muxin's residence. Only when they were gone did I return to the clinic. In the days that followed, I shuttled between the military camp and the clinic, changing Jun Mo's dressings and seeing patients. Life was so fulfilling that I temporarily put all my troubles out of my mind. But 3 days later, as I ground medicinal herbs in the clinic, a shrill, wailing cry suddenly came from outside the door. Xiao Yufeng's parents stumbled over, pushing Xiao Yufeng in a wheelchair